What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, what really moved it, and what shorts did. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi closed 1.52% in the green. So pretty good way to close out the week for the broader market. A lot of FOMO today, and a lot of that was stemming from data points. So today we did have non-farm payroll, which came in a little bit better than the forecast, so 177 versus 140. Then unemployment came in flat. So all in all, market really took this and ran with it. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of big institutions have been somewhat hedging on the downside. So we had HSBC, we had Bank of America, JPM, UBS. A lot of those entities were stating that the broader market is going to pull back. So I think a lot of them did have bearish kind of positions. And so with this data, they quickly had to revert. So that's what really caused a lot of the broader market to really move up higher. So with this good data, on the side note, you did see the likelihood of a cut for the May meeting go poof, and then for the June 18th meeting for it to go from 55 to 35%. So all in all, it is what it is. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. And most likely once Powell doesn't cut for the May 7th, you might see Trump starting to go back at his let's fire Powell speech and stuff like that. You did have a lot of optimism coming out associated to China and the States, so there might be some deals coming. And I think what has happened because of Apple's recent earnings, China now feels somewhat pressured. So we now know that Apple did produce roughly 97% of all their phones in India, and India even came out today saying that they are going to be taking a lot of manufacturing from China. Clearly, China is threatened, and this is why now we do actually have them even stating that they're reaching out to the States. So there might be a deal coming sooner rather than later. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Funny thing though that is happening in the broader market, or I guess on social media, is a debate. And I feel like this debate has been going on for a while now, but I feel like with this recent earnings for SoFi, a lot of SoFi investors are rather frustrated because even though SoFi kicked ass, took names, they still did close 3.35% on the week of their earnings. So very disappointing. But the great debate between SoFi and Hood, and in my opinion, and just for full transparency, I actually do really like both. I'm bullish on both. Just the thing is, during an expansionary stage of the market, you're going to see a lot more value being placed on innovation. And this is why Robinhood does do fairly well. But in times of distress, and I'm talking on like a large recession, not just like a recession that lasts like 24 hours, that's what we've encountered recently, then I feel like SoFi should fare a little bit better. But there's a lot of back and forth. So this individual, Amit, did kind of post this very in depth. So I recommend a lot of people going there and kind of taking a look. But you even see Tanner, a lot of data-driven investing as well, a lot of big SoFi bulls, all kind of defending SoFi. But again, just for full transparency, I think nobody's really like fully hating the other company. Just it's interesting and kind of comical. So what's your viewpoint? Are you SoFi? Are you team Robinhood? Do you even care? Like I said, I think both are very good in an expansionary stage of the market, but Robinhood should do a little bit better. I think that just leaves more room for improvement for SoFi. And based on a lot of the things that's been coming out, we'll have level 1 and hopefully cryptocurrency sooner rather than later. Then that should put SoFi on a little bit higher of a pedestal than what it is now. So let me know your viewpoint on that. When it comes to shorts did return 45,000 shares today, so not all that much, kind of a drop in the bucket, but 13.79% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 149.58 million shares overall being shorted. Based on the options, kind of low dollar value, so 11 million in calls, 9.9 in puts, 38% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature. So you do see a little bit of hesitation about today's push higher. Of the calls that were done, you see a consensus for it to be roughly 14 going into next week, and then 12 is being done by the bears. With today being Friday and it closing above that 1250. That does mean that you have 10,000 at that 1250, 9,000 at 12, and then 9,000 at 1150, all in the money. So market makers should be covering some of that come Monday. There's some transactions, abnormal ones, being done after hours on Friday on the secondary market, so some of that could be covering already, but I don't think there's enough to cover all of that, so most likely you'll see a nice bump up come next week. Big transaction though being done right here, 1.1 million shares, $15 million worth. So yeah, kind of interesting. You did see some pockets of selling though, so we'll just have to wait and see how this all does play out. But with it at 1270, it is trading between these 2 points still, so this R1 and the pivot. So kind of just stay tuned for that. No new analyst ratings, which even in comparison to previous earnings is relatively low. So we still did have roughly around about 10 to 12 analysts not even giving a rating on SoFi. I don't know if that's a sign that maybe they're not really interested, or maybe they're just waiting for more to come until they give ratings. So something to somewhat keep in mind. But nonetheless though, 1354 is that price target based on the recent ratings over the last 3 months, representing a 6.61% upside. And so based on here, still above the 50-day moving average, so still wedge bound between the 100 and 50-day moving averages. So all in all, going into next week, it's looking pretty a-okay. So stay tuned for my video over the weekend where I go over some expectations and everything. Hopefully everyone has a good weekend. Let me know your thoughts on SoFi, and if you bought today, sold. Nothing wrong with taking profits, obviously, or kind of hedging, but let me know what you did. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.